Hey guys, welcome to this week's Midweek Motivation. I am Jess, if you haven't met me yet, and I'm super excited to have Bart with us for this conversation. And we just kicked off in this new year a story or a series called King of Hearts. And so we're jumping into basically a conversation of leaning into that. And that's why Bart's here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Midweek Motivation Podcast, where we bring practical help for your faith and life. Here's today's episode.
Bart is our worship leader and I guess director of weekend services is...
Weekend experience director, I think
Okay.
is what they call me, from street to seat.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. On Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just added a fourth service, so that's cool. Mm-hmm. So I think that we've had you on here a couple of times, and I think that a lot of people are familiar with you just from a whole bunch of different arenas and areas in life. But would you share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Man, I've been performing with Hit Machine for 26 years. That is a cover band that plays all around town. We play festivals, we play community events, we play private events, just all around. And so a lot of people are familiar with me through that.
Yeah.
And through the years. And simultaneously, I've always, not always, but traditionally also done worship leading in churches.
Yeah.
And so, but there was a dry spell there where I didn't for maybe, I want to say it was about 2004 to, it was about 20 years, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
2004 to 2021.
Okay.
So it wasn't quite 20 years, but there was a spell there where I just focused on the band.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you do, so you're like all music, yeah?
All music, yeah, 24/7 is music. I mean, I feel like a promoter too sometimes. Because I've got to do a lot of promotion to drive people to events and that kind of stuff. And a little bit of a graphic artist.
Yeah, I was
not much. Yeah.
Gonna say it's a whole business, so
Yeah.
you probably wear a whole lot of hats.
Yeah. Yes.
Very cool. Anything else we should know about you?
Married, 4 kids, Zane, Zach, Xandra, and Zoe, all Z kids.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
They're all graduated finally. So
empty
awesome.
Nester.
Yeah.
That's scary at first and then a lot of fun.
Yeah. And we have lots of dogs.
Yeah.
So, lots of dogs.
Awesome.
I mean, I think there's 9 dogs now.
Wow.
So, but we might be we're assessing that right now. Can we keep up? So
Yeah. I mean, got love to give, so you might as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, one of the reasons why I thought that you would be great for this conversation is because you've shared your story so many times, like really pretty freely, I think, in staff meetings, just with people, but also like in the wider congregation. And it really speaks to kind of your dry spell a little bit from when you stopped leading worship. So would you be willing to share a little bit of your faith story and how you met Jesus and what brought you to Westside?
Yeah. Man, there's so many different lengths of time that this story could take. I'll try to make it short but thorough.
Okay.
So I became a Christian at age 16. And it was a result of, I think I just got my car and I was in high school. And obviously I was in a band, I was into music, I was into all this stuff. Finally had transportation. And so I come out, 3:15, the bell rings. I come out and there's a flyer on my car. It was a Friday. Wow. It said, free band, burgers, hot dogs, and pop.
Nice.
And I was like,
what 16-year-old wouldn't be into that?
I'm like, yeah. I mean, they pretty much checked every box right there.
Yeah.
So, and it was in St. Helens. And at an auditorium. And I was like, we don't get a lot of bands out here let alone for free.
Yeah.
And so it piqued my interest, and I went and found out it was a band that they were called Living Water, and they were having kind of like a youth night. And it was a Sunday night, having a youth night there, and it was free music, and it was just food afterwards.
Yeah.
And so I went, and then they announced that they would be here all week long.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, Monday through Friday. So I went back and I listened to the band, and each night towards the end of the band playing, they had a guy speaking, and each night of the week it got a little bit more focused that this guy was talking about God and Christ and personal relationship and all these different things. His name was Bob Kreider, and he was just a guy who went around. I think he was originally from here, but he went around doing crusades, is what they were called.
Yeah.
And so by Friday night, I always believed in God, but I didn't know anything about a personal relationship. And so I became a Christian that Friday night, and I knew everything was going to change. In fact, I went back, changed all my band lyrics. In the songs, the guys are like, what are these songs? What are you doing? And I felt like that's really what I needed to do. And a few of my friends in the band became Christians not long after that. We morphed the band, and it became a Christian band, and we called it Trusted Prophet, which eventually became the band name View, just as VU. And we've got stuff on Spotify from back in those days, but it became like Christian rock. Wow. So that's kind of how, and the time frame that I became a Christian, and I got involved in worship leading right away. They plugged me into Warren Baptist Church.
Okay. And
one of the guitar players from my band was actually going there.
Okay.
So he was, I think, about 10 years older, and his dad had been the pastor of the church. And so he kind of gave me kind of a fast track on what worship leading was, and showed me some of the songs and the charts. And at that point, they were using overhead projector.
Yeah.
To put put everything on so people could. So I just kind of hung around that. Started playing at youth camps, Tadmore and Lake Retreat, and just a lot of youth things during the summer festivals, and and I was just really immersed in the Christian CCM market for a while. Went down to Gospel Music Awards, was checking out different music labels, and I thought that would be my pathway, like being a Christian music artist. And I got kind of close. To that, but ended up starting a family and getting a day job, and all that kind of stuff started to change a little bit. And so I kind of put the traveling music career on the back burner, and I started focusing on more worship leading. And those were kind of like what I would consider the day jobs. And none of them were really full-time. They were like part-time type of things. But so yeah. And started Hit Machine in, I think, 1999.
Okay.
And before that, I did 10 years of recording in a recording studio and producing and arranging for artists around the area. And that started to become obsolete when Apple released GarageBand.
Yeah.
And so I thought, now I'm going to start performing some more. But I always kind of was performing with Hit Machine during that time, and obviously doing some worship leading
Okay.
on the side. And so it was interesting because you can look at them from a distance and think those are two completely different worlds.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Well, because Hit Machine is like your focus is covering hits. Is that? Yeah.
Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
Prince, just
Yeah.
anything that was a real big hit seems to be fair game. Cool in the Gang, Celebration, that song.
Yeah.
All that. And
Love it.
I try to be pretty wise about what songs I insert into Hit Machine because I want them to be accessible to like a lot of people and not. I don't play songs just because I like them personally.
Sure.
I think that's where a lot of cover bands go wrong. They're like, we love this song, but does the general public like that song?
Yeah.
Because that's who you're really playing for.
Yeah.
So
hits.
Yeah.
They're hits for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, so you talked a little bit about a dry spell, and then I know that you ended up coming to Westside out of that. Can you talk a little bit about that part of your story?
Yeah, I think it was, I want to say 2004, where I really felt the demand for my time with Hit Machine was starting to really, really increase. And I think I'd spent, 5 years building a foundation of that at that time. And so I was just, and the whole recording studio thing was kind of happening, but not as much as it was. And so I thought, I'm just going to put a lot of time, effort, and energy into Hit Machine. And I think the church job that I had at that time, they were heading with their extra services that they were adding on in more of a conservative direction. And I would say that's probably not naturally in my skill set. And I kind of looked at it and thought, I think the new service is going to take more effort than than what I was currently doing.
Okay.
And I was like, maybe I'm just not the guy for this at this particular time. So I went ahead and kind of moved on and moved in the direction of the momentum with Hit Machine.
Sure.
And rode that for a long time. And I would have to say that it greatly increased during that time, the success. But with success, I would say comes issues to navigate.
Sure.
I mean, lots of issues to navigate. You become your persona in the Northwest kind of elevates a little bit and changes some things. And we started doing TV commercials for New Year's Eve, and so you become a little bit recognizable. And then, how does that all play out in here?
Yeah.
How does it
in
all
your
play
head,
out in here?
In your heart, yeah.
And out into reality? And so I had to work through a lot of that stuff and struggle with it. And there's some things I loved about it. There were some things that I didn't love about it. And I got to see how it affected my kids. Certain kids thought, oh, this is awesome. Other kids in the family were like, it's too much attention,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so I would call that kind of a dry spell a little bit during those years. And in the fact that the focus was really just on expanding the Hit Machine brand and everything. But I never really lost my faith. And I was always shooting from that corner. And I would like to say that all along, I think that my relationship with Christ has been a secret ingredient in the success of Hit Machine. Just in the joy that that we try to bring night after night.
Sure.
and the enthusiasm, the feeling of hope, the feeling of, and that's what people usually leave the concert saying. Often I get private messages saying, you know, I don't know why, but your concert just felt different. And, you know,
That's so
we
cool.
put the next one on our calendar and all this kind of stuff. And I know that it comes from a place of what we're throwing out there. But absent of, if I didn't have a relationship with Christ, I don't know if I'd have that to throw out there.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, that's, even during that dry spell, I was going through a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was, at one point, I was down to like 132 pounds and still performing and just throwing it out there. My life behind the scenes was, you know, in a real sense, changing and falling apart, and stuff was happening that I didn't want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I was dealing with it and still had my faith.
Yeah.
And then by 2020, when everything came crashing down, as far as my job was just obliterated with COVID.
Right.
Gone.
Yeah.
And it was about 1.5 years of being very creative, trying to find ways to sustain myself. And I think I never had a clause in any of my contracts because I kind of prided myself in being a man of my word.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't anything in there to where, you know, they couldn't get out of the contract.
Yeah. That protected you, per se. Yeah.
I was like, I'm showing up. If I don't show up, you know, it's not a good look on me. And,
Sure.
And so that's my word. And so, but I had all these contracts ready to go for 2020, and when that hit, a lot of people wanted out of their contract, and I gave everybody their deposit back.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
Which
gosh.
left me in a space with no work and a lot of stuff going out. So I really kind of got put in a place where I had to reevaluate everything.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. And sometimes I think that God does that to us, and He knows what we need.
Yeah.
I look at that time very, very specifically as, you know, for myself, like God knew exactly what I needed to redirect me, and it was a really cool time.
Yeah.
Really cool time of seeing His hand work through stuff, and I had all this time that I never had, and that's when I met Bettina, and I had time to put into that relationship, and also start going back to church. But church was a little weirder then during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
It was just
Yes, it was.
kind of strange. I mean, I started going out to a church in my area, and I was just playing drums, but nobody was there. It was all broadcast online.
Yep. Yeah, we did that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was still hearing the message. I was showing up.
Yeah.
And it started, I don't know, I'd say a good pathway for me back to Christ being the main thing.
Yeah, the center.
So
yeah.
the center, yeah.
That's a great segue into my next question.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what you're talking about right now mirrors, and this is why I thought that you'd be great for this conversation, is it mirrors what we were talking about on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Gabe talked a lot about, that parable of the sower, where, the sower throws out the seeds and it falls on all kinds of different grounds. And we have to decide how we're going to navigate that and remove the distractions and the weeds and, all that kind of stuff, which sounds like you went through that process in that.
Oh, yeah. I went from this to being what I feel like almost like Job, like
sure,
broken, lost everything.
Yeah.
How am I going to pay the mortgage?
Right.
I remember one specific day where I was supposed to meet one of my friends down at Matador in Northwest Portland just to catch up during COVID. They had finally opened up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was paying for lunch. And I knew inside my head, okay, I don't have the cash to pay for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
That's really how I had gotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was paying for lunch. And I was like, but wait, what about the parking? And so I got down there not knowing how I was going to pay for parking. And I get down and I'm realizing, in downtown Portland, they've suspended. You don't have to pay for parking right now.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, God's watching out for me, you know?
Uh-huh.
So that's just a window into how much I had to lean into God during that time.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty significant. Well, so then at the end of service, Gabe talked about this idea that from the Bible, obviously. I'm not going to say it right. That we have to seek first the kingdom of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I see that in your story too, like seeking first the kingdom of God. And the thing that really made me think about you for this conversation is that I see that in you, because you really demonstrate what it looks like to just be obedient to what it, like even the parking lot story, that's, like just be obedient to what it is that God's calling you to and really surrender all the things. So, so I love that. Would you share a little bit about how you came to Westside and got plugged in and all that?
Yeah. And I'd also have to say that over the years, I kind of did struggle a little bit with, there was worship leader Bart, and there was hit machine Bart. And fusing those together was always confusing to me because I'd perform on a Saturday night, and then I'd lead worship. And there's definitely a difference there. Sure. You utilize some of the same skills, but there's a difference. And so I'd struggled a little bit with that over the years, even before COVID and going into it. And so when I started going back to church, I was playing drums on that little podcast thing at church, kind of out in my area. I started leading worship online on Facebook, and I started going live and just doing that.
Just on your own?
And I'm just like, you know what? This is going to blow the roof off of things, but it really doesn't matter because I'm not performing with Hit Machine, you know? And I was on my page, and people really responded, and they really liked it, and it was more hope, and it was more of God, less of me. And I thought, maybe God's calling me back into doing some worship leading again. And so I kind of made myself available, and I went out and was at Mountain Park a couple weeks, and then I think South Lake. I went out there and played some instruments and drums. They had me lead some songs, and I started talking to Stephen Quick.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, I was just on Facebook one night, and all of a sudden it came up on my feed. It was obviously a paid advertisement, and it knew my algorithms, and it was like Westside was looking for a music person.
Really? Okay.
So, and I clicked through to it, and I was like, wow, I don't really have a resume. I mean, my only resume has been Hit Machine.
Right.
That's all I've got. And back to 2004, I don't know if any of those people are still really doing it anymore, if I can use them as a resume.
Sure.
And so I just kind of shut the window. I was like, yeah, that's probably, I'm going to need a personal connection with a church to probably get a foot in to do this. And
God was like, here you go.
And so, like literally a day or two later, Stephen Quick from church was like, hey, my church is looking for a worship leader. And I was like, oh, really? Cool. That's a personal in. What church is it? And he was like, it's Westside. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I just clicked on a link the other day for that. And
That's
I
awesome.
felt like there wasn't, like, I don't have really the documentation to bring to the table of what
Sure.
is being looked for here. He's like, no, he goes, I think you should, I'm just going to line up a meeting for you to talk with the pastor, with Gabe. And that's where it all started.
Ugh, that's awesome.
So he lined it up, and we met at one of the McMinimans, I think is what it was. Yeah. And I just released a Hit Machine song called New Day, which was written out of COVID. And it's kind of one of those songs that it's you can take it, whatever way you want to take it, but it's about hope. It's about unity and community and all that kind of stuff. And Gabe asked me right away. He's like, well, he told me right away, I really love your new song, New Day. I'm like, you heard it? He's like, oh, yeah. And he said, it's a worship song, right? And I'm like, not really. But I mean, in a sense, it was written from that standpoint because I'm, that's where I'm at now. I've got, that's where I'm headed. And so it was just very obvious to him. And he's like, no, I really like it. And so we talked for 2 or 3 hours, right there. And I recognized right away it was a really good fit.
Awesome.
So I think that's one of the things that I struggled with in churches before was just finding a good fit. I've got a lot of energy. I've got a lot of, and sometimes the style of music is probably a little bit more contemporary than the average church would be, thumbs up for.
Sure.
So it just seemed like a really great fit.
Yeah.
And so that's really how it all got started.
Yeah.
And we took our time. We prayed about it on both sides. And I think, I don't remember the whole timeline, but it was about a 6-month timeline. So, and then all of a sudden I was here.
Yeah.
So,
and we love it. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's totally cool.
Very cool.
Having a blast.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit beforehand just about that thing that you had pointed out about how there was that 2 Barts maybe, and you shared a little bit about how that kind of came back together for you.
Yeah. It was really intentional about that because I didn't like that discomfort. I wanted to solve that issue.
Yeah, like a duality kind of
myself.
thing.
Yeah. And I think I had made it to the point in my life where I was just ready to accept whatever the solution was because I didn't want to live feeling conflicted anymore. Or with Hit Machine, they can't know too much because you might lose some followers. I kind of came to the end of that spot. I think COVID brought me to the end of myself,
Sure.
And I was just like, I don't really have anything else to give at this point because I've pretty much lost it all. So here I am. What's next? And so, what was your question?
How did you resolve that?
Yeah. How did I resolve that?
Yeah.
So I was very intentional, and I talked to Gabe about it. I said, this has always kind of been a thing, that's been in my head. It's and I want to find some resolve. He was like, I absolutely think that you're just Bart, and you do these 2 things. And he gave me some assurance that he didn't necessarily, from his view, see it that way or see it that they had to be separate. He gave me hope that they both could live together. And so I started becoming more intentional about including one with the other.
Mm-hmm.
And doing some mild assessments of how did that go,
Yeah.
just like a little reality check. Like I know that people want to go to church around Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
They're receptive to it.
Sure. Yeah.
So I might, run an ad like on my Hit Machine page. It just says, hey, some of you guys might not know this, but I also do music at a church.
Yeah.
And we've got all these services to come to. And if you're into that, and if you want to check it out, it's really cool. And I haven't gotten any opposition to that at all.
Awesome.
A lot of that in my head, was maybe false worry. But it could just be God's timing. It could be like, hey, now's the time. Just this is who you are. This is what you do. And so I've been pretty open about it. And I see people at concerts all the time who know that and who have come and checked it out. And a lot of them have stayed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are just check it out one time, and it's not because they didn't want to stay, but it's because they might live in Wilsonville.
Sure.
and it's a long drive,
Yeah.
but they want to support and come and check it out. And they might just view online, you know? So
That's cool.
I wouldn't say it's largely resolved within me. I wouldn't say it's done. I'm always a work in process. But
Yeah.
I would say whatever I thought was going to be scary about that was really a non-issue.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to trust, be bold, and be brave, and be smart. I think time and place, is something that God wants us to consider. I don't think we're called to be, considerate of others, and so I was like, we're the salt of the earth, and too much salt's too much on something,
Sure.
And so I'm
Yeah.
I'm smart about it.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Timing's everything.
But
That's so cool.
I love the aspect of putting it together. And there might be a day where I just, at a Hit Machine show, I might just pull out an old song that everybody might know,
Yeah.
like an old faith song. There might be a day where that happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow.
It's not off the table.
Yeah.
Definitely not off the table. So
That's cool. So you talked about like what got you to the point where you were willing to take that risk, but there is some risk in that, and I also feel like that duality thing is something that lots of people can relate to. I know that I can. I've got my own business, and so I can relate to that, and worked out in the corporate world, and so mixing your faith and being bold about that can be really scary. What do you think can give people courage to take that step, or really to get to that point where they're able to let go of the misconceptions, maybe, of being able to be one person in every.
Yeah. I think the key is realistically accepting that there is fear there, and accepting the fact that I'm a little bit fearful, and I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. I've learned to live there and be genuinely somewhat excited about not having 100% control of the outcome now.
Really?
Because that's where it's less of me and it's more of God. Because, I mean, as a producer, as a sound engineer, as an arranger, I got used to, and as a lead singer for a band and controlling the flow of a night, I got used to being able to control music, control levels, control arrangements, control panning of where the instrument shows up in the mix, control the EQ, control of everything. And even given a mic and say, you're controlling the next 2.5 hours. It might have been too much control that I had, you know?
Yeah.
And so I've lived through that. I've learned the good and bads about that. And I think I've made it to the point where I'm genuinely excited about having a little bit less control of the outcome and seeing what God's going to do with that. And so far, I have to say, less of me and more of him. He keeps giving me more and advancing things.
Yeah.
And certainly from where I was in 2020, where everything crashed, to now is a completely different spot. Everything about my life is different. And he can do it. But I'd say you gotta lay down yourself and you gotta trust and genuinely be excited to watch the outcome. And sometimes we don't understand it in the moment. I'm like, God, why does it have to be this way? Why? But hindsight's 2020. You can look back and go, he was working on that.
Yeah.
That one thing he wanted to work on. And it took this to get me to learn that. So that's an exciting spot. And I do know it's frightening, it's scary and all that, but I can say it's 100% worth it.
Yeah.
And not just because of the blessing on the other end, but it's exciting to see God use you, use yourself, use somebody else. That's exciting. Less of me, more of him.
Yeah. I think we call that hopeful expectation, but I think that it's really interesting that you have to move through the hard part of it, that fear part of it, before you can get to hopeful expectation based on what you're sharing, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, and I would say, I had years and years and years. I can look at it now, and it was just like this slow buildup of me being able to have control over literally every aspect and outcome of things. And it's definitely a feeling of power and position. And then that gets you elevated in a certain sense. And what do you do with that elevation? You know, and how do you deal with that internally and all that?
It can take you to not great places.
Yeah, it can take you to not great places.
Yeah.
And I'd say I dealt with it relatively well, but no, not perfectly. And I think some of the struggles I dealt with were some shortcomings that happened during that time. And so, but in the end, you can look back and you can kind of thank God for all of it, and the lessons and the struggles, the successes, and all of it kind of eclipses you to a certain spot. And the relationships I have now and the people who have entered into my life and the support that I've got is genuinely way more real than what was there before.
That's super cool.
Truly, it felt like a lot of those relationships were sinking sand. It really did. they kind of prove that kind of proved to be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Wow. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing your story. Let me look at my notes real quick. I just want to make sure that, I think we covered all of the questions that I wanted to ask you. But
You didn't ask me anything else.
I know. I appreciate that about you so much. That's super cool. I think that, ultimately, one of the things that I think that we wrestle with is that ability to let go and that ability to let God actually be the authority in our lives. And I think that we see that in your story and on all of the things that you just talked about and the benefits of that, the wrestling through what it looks like to submit and let ourselves be basically directed by God and, why that's so important. So thank you very much for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. Yeah. I don't think that I've actually gotten to have this full conversation with you. And I love hearing people's stories. So
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool. I think of one other thing.
Okay.
And I'd never been to Hawaii before when I was going through what I would call the toughest part of my life. Might have been around 2013. And one of my friends said, you just need to go to a place where there's some sunshine. And
Sure.
So I went ahead and booked it, paid for his ticket, and got a place to stay, got a car, and we were going for like 10 days and never been there. Showed up. It was absolutely pouring down rain, just pouring down rain. I'm like,
sunshine.
Really?
Came for sunshine.
This is Hawaii. And so we went to Lahaina, which is the town that burned down on Maui. And we'd been in a plane for like 6 hours or something like that. And we're like, let's just go get some food. And there was the very first place we could find was Cheeseburger in Paradise. We stopped there, went in, talked to the hostess. They had one table left, and it was upstairs. And it was all open, so you could see it pouring down rain, but at least we were covered. And I got sat right next to the music performer. So imagine you're the music performer, and the one seat that's left is like right there.
Yeah. If anybody's listening, we have like a foot and a half between us at this table.
And so this is, I'm in mid-struggle. Life is kind of falling apart a little bit. Excuse me. Escaping a little bit, going to an island. And where I can, reassess things, find myself again. Sorry. So I get there, and I sit down, and the music performer's talking, and he's like announcing he's got one more song before he takes a break. And I'm like, okay, let's hear it. And he starts talking about the ocean and being in Hawaii, and he had moved from Texas and 20 years ago, and he'd been there forever and now and then he starts talking about God and his power. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is like career suicide.
Right,
I'm like the lead singer for Hit Machine. I've been trying to keep those things kind of separate, and I'm listening to him talk about this, and he proceeds to sing the song, Your Grace Is Enough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? What island did I land on here? And how is this okay? Who is this guy? And my heart was a little bit hard during that time. After he sang the song, I was just like, I was probably a little frustrated. I was like, I tried to get away, and God found me on the island, man. It's like, it's right there in front of my face. He's singing, Your Grace Is Enough. And so I walk up to him. I'm like, I kind of wanted to call God out in a sense. I'm like, why'd you play that song? What prompted you to do that song right now? And he told me a story about he's been performing here for like 20 some years, and he's got an old pastor friend who shows up and asked him a question. His name is Brooks McGuire. In fact, he's been at the church once before and sang.
Oh, okay.
And the pastor friend said, out of all the songs that you do, you're playing, 3-hour shifts here, 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. He goes, you might think about just giving one to God.
Wow.
And so he wrestled with it for a long time. Finally, he reached the point of, okay, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm just going to give one for God. And he'd been only doing it, I think, for a few years at that point. And when he did that, I came up to him and I was like basically confronting him, like, what prompted this? And he's just like, I just kind of made it to the point in my life where I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to talk about it. And I've done all this for almost 3 hours. I'm going to give one to God. And the pastor had a certain name. It was a funny name. I won't remember it, but he refers to him as brother so-and-so, so-and-so. And when he tells a story, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because he was really being challenged in that area. And so that was pivotal for me, That was a pivotal moment for me, and my life was in chaos then, and I saw a guy who had wrestled with that duality and who had, made intentional steps to fix it.
Yeah.
So, and it worked out for him. He's played for years up until it burned down. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really gave it all to God too, like all of it.
He did.
Like did a little worship
He did.
set just for you.
Yeah, it was just for me. It was like,
Awesome.
I felt like I was called out on the island. I just got there. I hadn't even got I hadn't got my iced tea yet. So it's like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a great challenge for all of us, right?
Yeah.
To figure it out. That's super cool. And I feel like a great period to this conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Can't run from God, man.
no.
I tried
Yeah.
on an island. I paid the money, bought the ticket, and landed there. Bam, right in my face. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to have this conversation with you. It's a pleasure to work with you. It's a pleasure to receive encouragement from you every weekend. So thanks for everything that you do and for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Right.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Midweek Motivation. To make sure you don't miss any content in the future, please subscribe, share, and if you enjoyed this, give us a like. And consider popping by a Westside service some weekend. You can find out more at westsidecommunitychurch.com.